What's up, my friends? Rabil, the Holistic Renegade here, and I'm here bringing you a nice little stretchy session today. In yogi speak, we might refer to this as a yin session. In men's yoga transformation, MYT speak, if you're an MYT yogi warrior, we refer to this as restore and release. And within that system, within the MYT system, I teach shift, sustain, and reset. And the duration of which we are, or for which we are holding the postures today, is enough to change the tissue length of your soft tissues, like your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments. Now, when we do this, we want to make sure we're stretching into the muscles, not the tendons and ligaments. So if you feel things inside your joints, that's an area that we want to get out of. We want to back out of that because those don't go back. And unfortunately, many yogis, a lot of people that you walk in and see in classes are injured for that reason. They decide, or they think that stretch reflex, that sensation inside the joint is something good. It's not. We want to feel it inside those muscle bellies. And when we talk about muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, I like to refer to it in terms of hardware and software. You have hardware, your muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments. That's what we're addressing here. You have your software, which is your nervous system, your ability to pick up skills like dancing, moving, jumping, rope. And really, most of us are sitting for the majority of the day. So most of us are stiff, and you're probably standing up like, and if you're feeling like that at any point throughout the day, you need this kind of session. And I actually begin at MIT with 4 full weeks of this style of yoga because most people need it in order to be able to move in a healthy way and unleash their flow in their life. So what we're going to do today is we're going to begin laying flat on your back. Before we do that, you may decide you want a little blanket, a little towel for today, and I will be here when you get back. And once you're back, I'm going to start laying flat on your back in what I call the sleepy monkey position. Laying flat on your back, bringing those hands underneath the head, and just resting here. Just getting over a cold, so if you hear me clearing my throat or coughing at you, I apologize for that. And I even like to take my hands, and with my hands, just gently lift my head like I'm pulling my chin towards my collarbones. You might even have heard my neck pop there. That helps to decompress your cervical spine, your neck, before we set that head back down and relax. I invite you to even close your eyes here. And starting by taking some nice, long, deep breaths. Even through that nose. And drawing out those exhales. Breathing a little bit longer and a little bit deeper than usual. Drawing out that out breath. The longer we can draw out that out breath, the more we stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system, or the relaxation response in the body. And the more that we do that, the more we give our muscles the opportunity to release, to lengthen, to let go. Even if it feels silly imagining that you could relax through your forehead, through your jaw, even the tiny muscles around your ears, and feeling those ear canals relaxing, deepening towards the back of the mouth. Feeling that relaxation expanding into the mouth, the teeth, the tongue. like that soft palate could expand towards the top of your head. Feeling that breath flowing through the deepest areas of your throat. So deep, it's almost like it's flowing through your heart. Just drawing out that breath. When you're ready, reaching those arms out overhead, stretching, breathing from the fingertips to the toes. And as you exhale, curling those knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a big hug. You can even rock right and left. You're releasing that back. And when you're ready, in any way that feels right for you, gently making your way over onto your belly. Bring one of those pillows or blankets with you. Once we're here, we're going to place those hands underneath the shoulders like we're going to do a push-up. Pointing those toes straight back. And just taking a moment to try to zip those front ribs in. It helps to make what I call the cat vomit sound or the metal singer sound. Reaching that right arm out to the side, just about the same height as the eyeballs. Grounding into that right palm. Using the strength of that left arm to help roll you onto that right hand side. And stepping that left leg across the top of the right. Now you can step the sole of that left foot down to the mat. You could straighten that leg out back there. It's called an open wing, or technically a broken wing. I don't like the connotation of that, so I call it an open wing. And we'll take that pillow, that block, the blanket, whatever you got. We're just going to place it underneath the head. So you can have a nice neutral neck or cervical spine here. And coming back to that same breath we were working on, that long inhale. And then drawn out exhale. Notice if any gripping, any stress crept back into the forehead and the jaw. Really focusing on breathing into the left side of the rib cage. Big in breaths. Big out breaths. Remember, we want to feel it stretches inside the muscles. If you feel something inside the elbow, or like deep inside your shoulder, you're too deep into it. I want you to come out of it. Feeling a stretch inside the joint is not necessarily a good thing. Really notice if you can expand that left side of the rib cage. Inviting a little bit more relaxation with every out breath. Even if you're like, I don't know how to do that. Just drawing out that exhale. May feel a little tinglies creeping into that right arm. That is okay. you're ready, just gently making your way back to your belly. Send that pillow to the side. Sliding those hands back underneath your shoulders like we're going to do a push-up. Just feel that blood flow coming back into that right arm. When you are ready, sending that left arm out to a T, grounding that left palm, just about the same height as the eyeballs, using the strength of that right arm to roll you onto that left-hand side. Feel free to step that right leg across. You can even plant the sole of that right foot to the mat or reach that leg out even longer. Take that pillow, that block, that blanket, support that head so we have a nice neutral neck position, your cervical spine. Unbunch any bunched up skin in that left shoulder. Make sure that your elbow joint feels okay, your left shoulder feels all right. Coming back to that breath, drawing out that inhale, filling up the right side of the rib cage. Drawing out that exhale. Letting that body relax into it. It's almost like you want to find that space where you could almost go to sleep in each posture. It's the amount of relaxation we want to cultivate here. Feeling that tingly come into that left arm. And just checking to make sure the joints still feel okay. Noticing if any tension crept back into your forehead or your jaw, and seeing if you can let that go. When you're ready, gently releasing back to your belly. Sliding those hands back in like we're going to do a push-up. And that blood flow come back in to that left arm. And when you're ready, sitting that butt back towards the heels. This is called a child's pose. See if you can slide your big toes together. Those knees can be separated for right now. With your hand, unbunch any bunched up skin underneath the knee and the shin. That's fascia. It's a spider web that encapsulates every muscle in your body. And bunched up fascia there means bunched up fascia almost everywhere else too. From here, taking a big in-breath. And as we exhale, lay that belly down over the thighs, creeping those fingertips out long overhead. Now I teach an active child's pose because it's a really nice model for how we stabilize the shoulders. First here, gently stretching that mat apart between the knees like we're pushing them apart. Breathe it into that belly, almost like you could breathe into the back of the rib cage as well. Zipping those front ribs in again with that metal singer. Zip. Creep those fingertips out long overhead. That gets you length through the shoulders. Press down into the balls of your fingers. It's like the heels of the palms could be light. Still pressing them down, but imagine there's an egg under there. You don't want to smash the egg under the heel of your palms. Now if we keep that contact through the palms, we gently dome the arms like we're doming the elbows. That gets us depth in the shoulders. The arm bone is in the back of the shoulder joint now. And then finally imagine I'm pressing your elbows in and together, and you don't like that. So you're just gently pressing out into my hands. Feel that stability, that activation, the muscles underneath your underarms. And we have length overhead, depth with the lift. And stability with breaking what I call the elbow belt. It's like somebody's got a belt wrapped around your elbows and you're pressing out into it. This is really the model for anything else that we're doing with our arms out over our head, downward facing dog, handstands, or what we're about to do next. Which as we inhale, pull yourself up to hands and knees, and this is where you want to grab the couch, table, stability ball, whatever you're going to use for this. Remember that shape that we were just in for that child's pose. I'm going to use a stability ball. But just imagine this is my couch. So I'm going to go hands on the couch, grounding through the balls of the fingers, just like we practice. Walking those knees back. I like to dig my toes under here and then sitting that butt back towards the heels again. This is called a melting heart position. This is a wonderful opener for the shoulders and also the back, gently stretching that mat apart between the knees, pressing that couch out away from you with those arms, getting that length. Big breaths. On the exhale, seeing if we can sink a little bit further into it. A little gentle doming in those shoulders. Feel how that opens up the chest. Break that elbow belt like I'm pushing your elbows together. You're just gently pressing out into my hands. Feel the underarm stability. Big long breaths. Exhale, stretching into it. We won't be in this one for long. This is really intense for a lot of people. Notice if any tension crept into your forehead or your jaw. See if you can let that go. Remember, stretching through the muscles, nothing inside the shoulder joint or in the elbows. Not inside of the joints. Stay out of your joints, stay in your muscles. And when you're ready, gently releasing the hands down to the mat underneath your shoulders. Feel free to come to hands and knees or just sit yourself upright for a moment here. Just let that blood flow come back into the shoulders. Even shake those arms out. Feels great. And now, what we're going to do is one of my absolute favorites. This is not a classical yoga pose, but it sets us up for what's called reclined hero, Supta Virasana, where people are from this position, laying back, where it's over their legs with their knees bent. And it's not healthy for most people, because most people don't have the flexibility to go there. But it is a destination for us to work towards. Everything that we do here is about the direction, not the destination. It's about progress rather than perfection of the particular pose. And everyone's at a different stage in their practice. So imagining that this is that couch again, I'm going to get facing out away from the couch. And your feet will be nice and close to it. You can even reach your hands back for it. We're going to take our right ankle up over that couch. You might decide that you want a little towel underneath the knee here. We're going to ground that right knee. That means just pressing it down into the ground. From here, we're going to try to sweep that left leg through into a nice little lunge. Now you might decide that this is enough for you. This might be it. While we're here, peek back at that right foot. Is that right heel visible out next to that right hip? If it is, great. If it's not, we're going to try and adjust that. We're going to press down into that left big toe and into that left pinky toe, the whole outer edge of that foot. Gently pressing that left thigh out to the side without losing that foot position. Maybe you can walk those hands up to that left thigh, sitting nice and tall. You're going to feel a big stretch to the front of that right thigh, your quadriceps, and even in the front of that right hip, what we call the yoga groin area. And we're going to stay here and breathe. Big inhales. You can even press into that couch or ball behind you. And remember to draw out those exhales. Invite that relaxation in. Most people are very tight here because they spend most of the day seated. Even kids nowadays have desk jobs. We wonder why people experience so many injuries, aches and pains. Because we're not using our bodies the way they're designed. This can be a very uncomfortable position, so see if you can relax that forehead, that jaw again, even relaxing into the tongue. Like I mentioned before, everything in the body is connected. It's like a spider web. The muscles in your jaw mirror the muscles in your pelvic floor, the space between your pubic bone and tailbone. And that, if that's tight, that affects your glutes, your hips, everything around the area, especially your lower back. So if your jaw is really tight, you're very likely going to have tight pelvic floor, lower back, everything related to your breathing as well. And you can just start by trying to relax through your mouth. It's one of the number one stretches that I think people need, and one that you can begin practicing every day from here on out. And just breathe in. If you're like, wow, this is really hard, you can always grab a little broomstick or a chair out in front of you just to help you balance here. Drawing out that breath. And when you're ready, gently releasing those hands back down to the mat. Sweeping that left leg back to meet the right. We're just going to switch ankles. That left ankle is going to come up over that ball, grabbing that left knee. That right leg is going to sweep through into your little lunge here. Just taking a second to get ourselves set up there. Peek back, and you see that left heel. Right foot grounding to that right big toe, the inner edge of that right foot, that right pinky toe, the outer edge of that right foot. Gently pressing that right thigh out to the side just a tiny bit, just to make space in that groin. Maybe from here you walk those hands up to that right thigh, sitting upright in this lovely couch stretch. It's real common to sag into the hip here, so imagine you could press the floor away from that left knee. You almost feel like you're lifting up off of that hip. Big inhales and exhales again. This side might be totally different than the opposite side. Maybe you need that balance bar or a chair out here to help you stay upright. Relaxing through the forehead and the mouth. Maybe you decide to reach those hands back for that couch behind you. You may notice today that we're holding each stretch for just about 3 minutes. Everyone's stretch response, which is the point at which your muscles relax once they're put under tension, is slightly different, but the average time for that stretch response to kick in is about 72 seconds. And that's when we get length in those muscles. Remember that exhale stimulates that relaxation response in your body. It's like a turbocharge, inviting you deeper into more relaxation in the muscles. I like to say that the body and the mind are like a mirror. Stress in your body equates to stress in our mind and emotions. Now, most people know intuitively that they carry stress in their body. They say things about the stress that they have in their neck and shoulders. We forget that we also carry that stress in other areas of the body as well. And when you're ready, Gently releasing down to those hands, sweeping that right knee back, unhooking that left ankle, and just saying goodbye, stability ball or couch, whatever you've been using here. Let's sit back into that child's pose again, just noticing how does our body feel, how do our hips feel after a couple of stretches, after a couple of postures or asanas as we call them in yoga. Maybe your hips feel deeper. When you're ready, we're going to make our way up to hands and knees. We're going to dig the left toes under, stretching back into that left heel. It's like a little single leg plank. Then we're going to take that right leg, I'm going to sweep that right shin through, right ankle towards that left wrist. It might not go very far. Right knee towards that right wrist. Setting that left knee down. Now this leg might be way back underneath your groin. You might not get anywhere near this, and this is okay. Like I said before, it's about progress, not perfection. It's about the direction, not the destination. And while we're here, we're going to stay upright. This is called the pigeon pose. We're going to press into the top of that back foot, that left foot, into the pinky toenail and the big toenail. Even peek back. What's your ankle doing? Mine's collapsing out right now. My work is to pull that left heel in just a little bit so I can get it right over my left ankle. You'll probably feel your glutes saying hello when you do that. And then pressing down into that right shin, you'll probably feel that right hip saying hello. Imagine you could pull that right leg bone back into that right hip. Very active here. Your hips, if you were to look at them, they're pointing straight ahead. They're also parallel to the floor. You'll see people in classes sagging over to one side or doing stuff like this or laying down. And it's not really our intention here. They can do that, that's fine. We are looking to create alignment in our skeleton through muscular activation and using that breath to help us really relax into these postures. To get that length. Big inhales here, pressing down through those legs. Big exhales. Try to stretch that chest open. Again, imagine I'm pressing your elbows together, press out into my hands, creating a little bit of space underneath the underarms. Notice if any stress or tension crept back into the forehead or the jaw. See if you can let that go. And if you're like, hey, this is really intense, you can always come out of it early. You can always have a little chair or couch in front of you to help take that pressure of that upper body off. And you can always take a little pillow block or blanket and put it underneath that right hip just to take some of that intensity out of it. So you do have something to sit on without sagging into that hip. Back to that long and deep breath. You might even notice an urge to rock or sway into this one, and let your body do what it needs to do. If you want to rock right and left, you're going to rock forward and back a little bit, go for it. It's called neuromuscular facilitation. It's something that babies do to help them become aware of where their bodies are at in space. As adults, I think we spend way too little time in our bodies, way too much time in our minds and our heads. And when you're ready, we're going to plant those hands. You can dig the left toes under to take some pressure off of that left knee. Sweep that right leg back to meet the left in this tabletop. Hands and knees. And we'll just rock right and left into those hips a little bit. Notice, how does my left hip feel compared to my right? And when you're ready, we're going to step that right leg back into a little single leg plank, pressing back into that right heel. And then we're going to sweep that left shin through, just like we did previously on the right side. Sweeping that left knee towards the left wrist, left ankle towards the right wrist. Do not use your hands to pull yourself into it. That in yoga is called stealing. And that is our third power code. That's the third step in the yogic system, is no stealing, especially from your body. Pressing down into the back of that, or the top of that right foot, from big toe to pinky toe. Check that right heel, what's it doing? Can we get it to neutral? It's not sagging out or in. Pressing down into that left shin, even imagining you'd pull this leg bone back into that left hip. Feel all that activation through those hips, creating the alignment. Hips pointing straight ahead, no sagging here. Chest is stretched open. Breaking that elbow belt, that just means, imagine I'm pressing your elbows together, press out into my hands gently. There's space underneath those underarms. Maybe you decide to take a little cushion back underneath that left hip to take some pressure off. We want to feel the stretch, but not so intensely that we start to tense up again. If we're feeling that, we're doing ourselves a disservice. Not going to get what we need out of it. Big inhales. And exhales. Yeah, I could just have you lay down in this pigeon and just sag into it, putting your pigeon to rest. That's what we call that. But I want some alignment for you today. I want some activation. That is going to get you a deeper release. See if you can relax into the forehead, the jaw, and anywhere else that you feel that tension creeping up. When you're ready, planting those hands, you can even dig the right toes under, taking some of that pressure off of that right knee. We'll sweep that left knee back to meet the right in that tabletop. Taking a couple wiggles into those hips. Apologies for the barking dogs and the rain that's starting to come down. And when you're ready, we're going to make your way onto your butt and then onto your back, laying down flat on your back. You can plant those feet, keeping the knees bent like we're in a little bridge pose. Feel free to wiggle into those hips a little bit. And then send those arms out to a T. Pressing down into the backs of the arms, into the hands. And then lifting those feet up off of the mat. Keeping those knees bent right up over the hips. Keeping that right shoulder down on the ground. That's called grounded. As we release those legs over to the left hand side, you might decide to take a couple pillows underneath that left thigh here, if your right shoulder's coming up. Maybe you decide to scoot that left hip back a little bit to stack your right hip on top of the left. That left hand can come over the top of that right thigh just for a little bit of support, but not to force you into this. Breathing long and deep, relaxing the forehead, the jaw. Drawing out that out breath. Filling up the right side of the rib cage. Just letting the breath and the body do the work here. Starting to notice the sounds and the space around you. And sensations in your body. noticing where that tension has crept up, trying to relax wherever you feel that tension. Maybe that spot for you is the forehead again, or the jaw. And when you're ready, unwinding back to center. Readjusting those hips to the center of the mat. They usually drift over to the left when we do that. And lift those feet up again, knees up over the hips. Taking that big in-breath. And as we exhale, releasing those legs over to the right-hand side. Maybe you decide to scoot that right hip back a little bit so you can stack that left hip on top of the right. Remember, our target here is to keep that left shoulder grounded. That's our containment. So we keep our alignment here. If that left shoulder's coming up, you might take a pillow or a couple of them underneath that right thigh to make that twist a little bit more shallow. Breathing in the left side of the rib cage. Just gazing straight up towards the sky that the rain is coming out of right now. Whatever is going on in your sky. You'll see a lot of people try to peek out over that left shoulder here. And right now, while we're just trying to restore that alignment, I just want a nice, neutral neck position. Just following the heart. And when you're ready, gently unwinding back to center. Just those hips back to the center of the mat. And sending those legs out long beneath you. Coming back to that sleepy monkey position we had at the beginning. Those hands coming underneath the back of the head. This is a wonderful little chest opener. Just letting those legs relax. I invite you to close your eyes as we settle into what we call Shavasana, or corpse pose here. If my yoga teacher, Agnieszka, were here, she would say, now you get to relax. There's no relaxing in yoga other than Shavasana. Imagining again that you could relax through the forehead, the jaw, the tiny muscles around the ears. Just feeling those ear canals relaxing, deepening towards the back of the mouth. Softening into the teeth, the tongue. Feeling the roof of the mouth expanding upwards towards the top of your head. And that breath flowing through the deepest areas of the throat, so deep, it's almost as if it's flowing through your heart. Imagining that the core of the earth is pulling you down with just a little bit extra gravity. So that whole body is heavy and warm and relaxed. Allowing the breath to breathe you. That heart is light and free and easy. Like you could float up above your chest. Just allowing yourself to go wherever you need to go. And when you're ready, reaching those arms out overhead, taking a big stretch from your fingertips to your toes. Big inhale. And as we exhale, curling those knees in towards the chest again, giving yourself a big hug. Feeling free to rock a little bit right and left. And making your way onto your right hand side into a fetal position. Still hugging those knees and resting that head on the right arm or the hands. Just taking a few big breaths here into the left side of the rib cage, just feeling the heaviness of the inner body. Keeping that neutrality in the spine and all that alignment we've worked for. Using the strength of the arms to make your way up to a seated position. As we close out today's yin stretchy practice. Reaching back, untucking the flesh of your butt to untuck that tailbone. Sitting nice and tall, chest is open, breaking that elbow belt, opening up that space underneath the underarms. Gaze lifted like you're looking over the horizon. Inhaling those arms out to the sides and all the way up overhead. As we exhale, bring those palms together into heart center. As we say in yoga, I see myself in you, I see you in myself. Namaste. Thank you very much for being here. And I hope that you enjoyed this yin, or restore and reset and release practice. If you enjoyed this, please like it, share it, subscribe, share this with your friends. And let me know if there's anywhere that you feel like you needed help with anything, if you needed a regression, if you needed to dial something back, it was just too intense, too hard. Or if you need something harder, you need a progression, you're like, I just didn't feel anything at all happening in this asana, this posture, let me know. And that, my friends, is it. This is what we spend the first 4 weeks doing in Men's Yoga Transformation, MYT, restoring the hardware within your body so that we can create the space to be able to restore activation, strength, and stability, and eventually working with that software, that flow, and your ability to move free and with ease. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed this, and you have an awesome day. Bye.